Here we go.
All right, we're live, all right.
Everybody, welcome to the Savage Sunday podcast.
Why you gotta say it like that? This guy's a podcast voice. The first podcast is a podcast voice. What's going on, everybody? It's your host, Lloyd Williams, today, suddenly. And, Andrew, or Drew, I don't know, in short form. Andrew Gray, whatever you want to call me. This is the Savage Sunday podcast, the first edition. We're going to get right into it. So basically what this podcast is going to be about, I used to have this hashtag. It's not my hashtag. I can say that I created it, but I just decided to post a lot of dumb stuff under it. Stuff that usually required nuance, but I just posted it not giving a fuck because, it's fun to fuck with people on social media. Social media is not really super real to me. So yeah, it all started with like this salsa dancing because me and Lloyd, we are salsa dancers. We actually have a social called the Midday Fix, shameless plug. Anyways, I posted something along the lines of like just a controversial topic and it went nuts. I'm not going to get into what it was, but it was crazy. I think it accumulated up to 300 comments. Mind you, my platform is just a regular person's platform with like, I think I have like 1,800 friends active on Facebook.
Holy crap. And you got 300 comments?
And usually, I feel if you're up to the analytics, it's usually about 1% of your friends react to your stuff.
Bro, you realize that's more than somebody getting married and somebody having a baby, right?
Yeah. So it was nuts. It was nuts. And the comments just kept going, and it created such a headache for me because I was trying to keep up with the comments, making sure everyone was playing safe, even though it was a Savage Sunday. A lot of people are very sensitive. So that's how it all got started, and it kept going from there. And then Lloyd came to me with the idea of doing it as a podcast. That way we could provide more angles to the topic rather than having just one blunt post that you're just stuck to deal with, and a lot of people had problems with. I got a lot of private messages with people having problems with certain things that I was saying or how it was being perceived. I had people reaching out to me about impact versus intention, stuff of that matter. And I started to realize the importance of providing nuance to the things that I was saying in a post.
Well, to be fair, we were supposed to do this for a long time now. But the thing is, with the social, aka the Midday Fix, there's a lot of work and there's a lot of planning that goes into pretty much every aspect of that, as far as booking people, just performances, making sure that everything is on point. Mm-hmm. It's a crazy process to do this from week to week, especially with a 2-man operation. Like this is the Fix team pretty much.
Yeah, for sure.
Right here. And so trying to figure out time in order to do this podcast is challenging. It's challenging on its own.
The weekends are a wash most of the time.
Yeah, pretty much, because after all the planning that goes into Saturday, and keep in mind, we both probably work like almost every Saturday before the social. Yeah. Sunday just becomes this day of rest, and it's almost impossible to meet up and that kind of thing. But now that we're on our break or come to the close of our break, we just figured we might as well get started.
Build some momentum so we can just, have a good muscle.
Yeah, put it out there, and then we just have to commit to it and make it happen somehow.
Yeah. So, I guess this is kind of a savage topic. It might be too big for the first episode.
Oh,
Don't
Jesus.
Want to get canceled right off the jump.
Can you get canceled from the internet?
I don't know. Well, people have. Like, look at Kevin Hart. Or not, I should say Louis C.K. That guy got canceled.
Well, yeah, but that's because he kept whipping it out. Like that's different.
Man, I don't know. I was watching Dave Chappelle's new stand-up, Sticks or Stones, and he gets into that. I don't want to take any of Dave Chappelle's jokes because if you haven't seen that special, watch it. Amazing. But it started making me think about equality, and how this term gets used as a defensive mechanism, but but anytime someone tries to use it as an offensive mechanism, it's unfair, or it gets thrown out. I guess I should go into it more what I mean
Yeah.
by that.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
So anytime something unfair is happening, and if you are the victim of that situation, you cry equality, right? But then when the balance beams are being leveled out, and you are somewhere, you're the person who has an advantage, right? Automatically, equality doesn't matter anymore. It kind of dissipates.
Well, so what you're saying basically is things are unfair until they're going well for you.
Yes.
Then all is fair, basically.
Yes, right. And in the stand-up, the Sticks and Stones, Dave Chapelle actually talks about this subject, and he, I'm paraphrasing, but he mentioned that, oh man, I'm trying to get it. I should write notes. You have a good idea with the notepad. I should write notes. But basically, it's a situation where he goes in, because this is while he's doing the Chappelle Show. So if you're familiar with the Chappelle Show, it's a sketch comedy show where he uses a lot of the concepts that he has in his stand-up, and he sketches them out somewhat like Saturday Night Live. So there's this committee that's part of the Comedy Network, and they're responsible for making sure that, like, it's like kind of like an ethics committee. I forget, they have a specific name. I forget the name of it. Okay. Mind you, I'm not like I'm not versed in this. I'm not in the television culture or whatever, so I don't know what broadcast life is all about.
Whatever, man. It's the internet. You can get it wrong.
Yeah.
You can get it wrong, man.
So he goes in, and he obviously his show is very R-rated content. Not only is it R-rated, it's very controversial, right? He uses the N word a lot. He uses the not the F word, but all different types of words. So one sketch he writes up and he sends it into this committee, as he does all the others, and he gets called in, and he's like, "Why am I being called in?" And the lady who runs the committee basically says, "Look, you're getting called in because you use the F word, the one that's referred to homosexuals, right?" And he's like, "Well, what, like okay." He's like, I see that there's a problem, whatever, it's cool, I'll just take it out." And on his way out, he stopped and said, "Hold on, so you have a problem with me using the F word, but I use the N word all the time. Like, I've used it many, many times, maybe at least 5 times every episode. Why have I never been rung up on using the N word, but I'm being rung up on using the F word?" And then she goes, "It's because you're not gay, Dave." And then he goes, "But I'm not an N word either." And so, like, that's like, it's like, is it equal? He uses the N word, but he's not an N word, and it's absolutely okay. But then he uses the F word, and suddenly it's a big issue. So where is the level playing field along that? People will allow certain things to happen, but then certain things they won't allow to happen. But then they say that they want equality. And equality is an extreme. A lot of people don't realize that. People think it's something that's very easy to achieve, but it is an extreme. And then he goes on and he says something that a lot of people probably hate. And I'm talking a lot about Dave Chapelle. This first thing, I'm just using all of his content, but it's about the topic. He goes on and talks about what if LeBron James suddenly decided to become a woman? Right? And he goes through, the transformation and everything. Would he be allowed to go into the WNBA and proceed to score 840 points a game? Right?
Okay, I gotta watch this special. I'm sorry.
I know. I'm spoiling a lot. But this is not a lot. This is like a couple of jokes. And then he said, if we really wanted equality, do we allow women into the NBA? Like, does everyone just play under the same banner and then that's it? And if you're good enough, you make it. And if you're not good enough, you don't make it. You know, is that what we do, or no? You know what I mean? And then there's other things like the whole FIFA situation where the women weren't getting paid as much as the men. And I put a post out about that as well. And a lot of people were offended by that. I tried to explain to them that it's algorithm. You know, they get paid a percentage of the gross, and men's soccer is like the biggest sport in the world, and women's soccer is not as big, so they're not going to make as much money. Therefore, they're not going to get paid as much as the men. Even if you're in the round of 16, you may get paid as much as the women's champions. As a man, you know what I mean. So it's a touchy subject. You know, a lot of people get very offended very quickly. Even if you try to explain like rationally, people just shut you down and say like, in terms of the women, the national the U.S. national team that won FIFA, they said just pay those women. And that was it. That was like the intelligent explanation behind it. Just pay those women. And I was just like, that's not the message that you really want to send, is it? Like, if you're searching for equality, it doesn't make any sense. So, yeah. What do you think? It's a lot. I just threw a lot at you. But what do you think?
Boy. Well, first off, what I would like to say is that we just decided on this topic, like, I don't know, just before we got out here. So, I'm not as well prepared as I should be in this case. I would also like to say, before we get into this and before we offend anybody,
which we will.
Midday Fix, Midday Fix will be back on September 14th. We'll be back on September 14th.
Oh my goodness.
So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. We'll be back on September 14th. Yes. It'll be the end of our summer break. And yeah, we're hoping to kick things off with a bang. Hopefully, if we don't offend too many people.
Hey man, we're just trying to become better human beings. That's all.
Well, you know what? If you don't have a dialogue about things, then how are you supposed to grow, right?
That's it.
So, and this is part of the reason why we're doing this. It's all about gaining growth and whatnot. Equality. Equality. I don't know if I should tackle your examples.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, okay, it's not that... It's not that I disagree with what you're saying in principle. Mm-hmm. And the simple fact of the matter is that human beings or our society just hasn't evolved to that point of freedom. There's just a lot of sensitivity. Even much more so now. Even with the things that you say regarding equality, even though I think your points are correct, it's... You're being paid. Sorry about that. That's my alarm.
Notifications off, man.
Now I lost my damn point.
Human beings equality.
All right. So even coming down to the U.S. soccer program, men's soccer, women's soccer. First off, as far as I know, those are two separate programs. There's a men's soccer president. There's a women's soccer president. So it's kind of like their own organizations that build their own funding. I think in terms of basically travel expenditures and equipment and training and everything like that, everything should be literally on an equal plane. Yeah. Okay. There should be no advantage to being on the men's soccer team versus the women's soccer team as far as that goes. I can't really argue with you that if the men's program is drawing in more money, then the guys are a big part of that. The guys that are part of that team, they're ambassadors of the U.S. program, and they're drawing in that funding, that money, that They're giving that people that sense of patriotism.
Okay.
It sucks because the women are the best team in the world.
Yeah.
The U.S. women.
Yeah, the best women's team in the world, hands down.
But what it comes down to is they need the support of the U.S. people.
Of the world.
Well, literally, it comes down to who's buying the U.S. jerseys, who's buying the tickets to the games,
For sure.
who's investing in those people. It's the people.
Yeah.
And if the people aren't investing in the women's program, then the women aren't going to get paid that percentage. Now, if you're saying
they're going
that
to pay that percentage, they're just not going to get paid.
well, they're going to get well, they're not going to
yeah.
get paid as much as the guys based
with
on the money that
percentage
they're
that they have.
based on the money that they're drawing in.
And mind you, I mean, this may be a point that you don't know. I can't remember the exact percentages. I put them in the post, but the women get paid, like their percentage of the gross of the whole tournament is more than the guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just that men's soccer draws in more money.
Yeah. Which is that if you're being technical, that's not equality. They're actually at an advantage in that aspect of the situation.
Right, because they're better.
Exactly.
So if ever women's soccer takes off and becomes bigger than the men's sport,
The earning potential's higher.
then the earning potential is higher because they have an all around better program as far as female athletes go. What I would say is, and this is not equality, you pour money into branding and marketing for the stronger program.
For sure. Okay.
And so maybe that's how you start to get them on a level playing field.
100%.
But I mean, the numbers are the numbers, and
Yeah.
that's just how it is. So I can't really argue with that. As far as the Dave Chapelle goes, and
Mind you, Dave Chapelle is a comedian, for those who don't know, and we're just analyzing his comedic takes for the actual gold, or mining the gold out of his comedic takes.
So, first off, I have no idea where I'm going to go with this. I just want to say, just in case I go somewhere that I shouldn't, Dave Chapelle, I'm a big fan.
Like Dave Chappelle's gonna hear this.
Right? I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself right now.
First podcast, my G.
Podcast one. Nah, man, so I'm gonna go send it to Dave Chapelle, and they're gonna start calling me out on like the Jimmy Fallon show.
I don't think he has social media. Honestly, I don't think I haven't seen him on Twitter. There's a fake Dave Chappelle on Twitter. Like he's not an entity that's on social media at all.
Probably called Real Dave Chappelle.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah. Remember, he got into that beef with Cat Williams, and it was a fake Dave Chappelle. You never heard about that? Anyways,
oh yeah.
I'm going to sidetrack right now.
Fake Cat Williams got into beef with fake Dave Chappelle.
But then the real Cat Williams thought it was the real Dave Chappelle.
Or no, they went and they met up, and Chappelle was like, yo, I don't have any beef.
Yeah.
And then, so ignore all that Twitter, and then Cat Williams is like, yo, I don't have Twitter either.
Yeah. You're trying to play it right. Oh, man.
Yeah, I mean, I understand the point that he's trying to make as far as equality goes. I get as far as the ethics committee goes. You should be able to just be on a level playing field altogether. But the fact of the matter is, it's been a long time where black people can say that word to each other, and it's fine.
Yeah.
It's not okay. It's not okay for any other race to go and say that.
For sure.
It's actually downright offensive. And the same thing, and I think that's the logic that they were using as far as approaching Dave Chapelle.
Yeah.
Like even I work with a coworker, and he is what's the right word to say now? He's gay.
He identifies as or he's gay. He's a gay man.
He's a gay male. Yeah. Okay. There are a lot of other things out there, but he is a gay male.
Yeah.
Okay, and I have no doubt that he would go and say certain things that we wouldn't dare say to him, because the way I see it is, it's kind of like the people that are trying to own the words and the terms and whatnot. They've dealt with the pain of those terms for so long,
for sure,
that they're trying to take ownership of it.
For sure.
So then it's definitely not okay for anybody else to come down and use those terminologies, as far as I'm concerned. Another thing that you said when we weren't recording was that a lot of people got offended by Dave Chappelle's.
A lot of people.
A lot.
Yeah.
There does come to a certain point, and this comes back to equality, where you have to be a part of the joke.
And that's, yes, this is the main thing. But that's that's not the main thing, but that's like a side subject, yeah.
Yeah, you have to be a part of a joke.
Yeah.
Part of equality, part of inclusion is you have to be able to laugh it off. You have to be able to be a part of the joke. Now, some jokes are in bad taste, and people shouldn't say those types of things.
100%.
But you have to be able to laugh at yourself to a certain degree. I'm sure there will be many jokes pointed towards me that I'm going to put out there.
Oh, yeah.
You know, laugh at myself, whatever. Yeah. Or I know Andrew has a lot of things that he could say about me and point at me.
Yeah.
Shut up! I have some things.
Show, man.
I have some things.
It's okay. Don't worry.
I have some things.
We'll get into the salsa adventure episode.
No, we will not.
You know that episode's coming.
Yo, right? Cut.
Some people listening to
no, and I will not be there that day, right. And I will.
What do you mean? You're one half of the podcast. You'll be there. You can talk about my stories. I'm cool with it. So
I'm gonna have to come out with a press conference and a written statement and all these types of things.
Statute of limitations is up.
Statute of limitations is up. All you're saying is this: I just can't sue.
That's what I'm saying. Just let it ride.
Yeah, we're not doing. Yeah. So back to equality.
No, but I get what you're saying. Yeah, and mind you, I want to say that I'm not condoning the use of any of these words, the N word or the F word. I'm just trying to highlight that certain perspectives deem equality to be one thing when they're ignoring the equality for somebody else immediately, like at the same exact time, in tandem. That's why it's such a touchy subject. It's something that it's an extreme. It's not something that can be 100% achieved until everyone is built the same, does the same thing. You know what I mean? Like, imagine men having equal say in abortion. You know what I mean? Imagine that.
Oh, Lord.
You see what I'm saying? Like, imagine men having equal creative control when it comes to feminine products. You know, it's insane to think about these things. You know, it's asinine. Like, you don't ever want to even imagine something like that happening. And that happened in Georgia. They passed a bunch of men passed a law for abortion. For that basically, you know, it's not going to affect their community. It's not going to affect them, their demographic. You know, they're these bunch of old white men basically saying that, what is it? It's I can't remember the specific law. Is it 6 weeks? If you're 6 weeks pregnant, it's illegal to get an abortion.
To be honest, I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure Alabama banned it outright.
Outright? Okay, wow.
I believe so.
And that's nuts. As the one I'm familiar with, like somewhat familiar with, mind you, I'm dumb. I retain certain amount of information, then it just says, okay, that's it. That's enough for me. But my understanding was that it was 6 weeks. In Georgia, anyway, specifically. Mm-hmm. But not many women even know they're pregnant by that time.
No.
You know what I mean? Like that's not enough time for them to actually understand that they're pregnant. Not all the time. Like there's certain situations in their cycle. I sound dumb as hell, mind you. Forgive me, women. I've never had a period in my life, but I have had PMS before. It's a joke. It's a joke. Please, don't kill me. Yeah. that's not like it's a lot of times that can definitely slip up. Like you can have slip ups and not know that you're pregnant until you're 8 weeks in, very easily, So like, and then what? You can't have an abortion. You're just that. Oh no, that certain circumstances and situations happen in a certain way, and now you have to have a kid. Like not to say that I'm pro anything or anti anything, but that's on them. They get to do that. That's their decision. You know what I mean? Like it's not up for any of us to decide. It's your body. If I want to go get a tattoo, you know what I mean? I'm living in Canada, where it's land of the free.
Somewhat free.
Free. So yeah. Wait. Yeah. First world.
Yeah. First world. First world.
Someone shouldn't come to me and tell me, "Oh, you tattooed your body. You're going to jail because there's a law against tattoos on your body." Like that's nuts. It's my body. Like you know what I mean? The only thing that you should try to protect me from is death. Maybe not even that. Who knows? Maybe someone wants to die. Just let him go. I'm just saying. You know what I mean? Like we should have that. We should have our own freedom over ourselves. And it comes down to that.
Living's not for everybody.
Yeah, but even with that, there's some sort of discernment. Like if a woman's 9 months pregnant, she gets an abortion. Do we stop that? Like, of course, like, I feel like we should. But then at the same time, I'm the one who just said that I shouldn't have any say over it. So you see what I'm saying? Do you see how, like, this subject, it's an extreme. You know what I mean? It's something that it's going to be very, very hard to actually achieve because there's so many things that have to be addressed that it feels like it's impossible because they're like they're seemingly the opposites of each other. No?
Well, from what I can tell, the more steps forward that we take, the more we seem to go backwards somehow.
Right?
These days. Like,
and mind you, I feel like we're taking giant steps forward in equality for sure, especially when it comes to men and women relations, and even LGBTQ getting involved. Like I feel like equality is better than it's ever been. Like, and as a state, the state of equality is better than it's ever been. But at the same time, it's like that perfection that everyone's striving for. It just doesn't seem like, I don't know. I can't see it. It's tough to say that, but it's just me speaking honestly. Maybe I just don't have the vision for it, But
well,
I just don't see it.
I mean, it would be hard for me to say that we haven't taken great strides towards equality. For instance, where I work,
yeah,
at our order desk, let's see, we have myself, a Jamaican, a Polish guy, and a Pakistani.
Yeah.
And we're all working together in perfect harmony.
But then there's no women there.
Women are working in accounting, brother.
So how come they're not working in your department?
They could if they wanted to. In our other hold on, hold
I'm
on.
not trying to trap you or anything. I'm just very curious.
That's just the way it worked out at this location. Mm-hmm. There's a lady in my position over in our Richmond Hill location.
Yeah.
And there are two ladies over in my Midhurst location. For people that don't know where Midhurst is, and I just learned of this like within the past couple of years myself. That's by Barrie, basically.
Oh, okay.
So
I didn't know either.
It's spread out. It's spread out all over, and just many different cultures. Okay. Lots of different people just working together. We're getting there, but at the same time, as far as what I seem to find about this society right now is a lot of things that hold us back. Basically, it's everybody's really a lot more sensitive.
Yeah. Well, it's because it's information overload. Like obviously because we're in the social media era. Also, there's the fake news era, the news herding era. Like a lot of people are kind of, I hate using the term, group thinkers. They allow one person of influence to have a thought, and then that becomes their thought, and they spread that person's thought as it was their thought, and then it just keeps going and going and going. and that's it. And like whoever the original person was, if they even are the original person, their thought is their track record is so good that people feel like the thought's safe to, it's good as confirmed, without even looking at the background information or anything like that. So it's just like surface knowledge that they're getting, and they're using as fact rather than trying to find the background information regarding it.
Sounds like a whole lot of mob mentality to me.
Yeah, definitely. And it makes it hard. It makes it hard to have a real conversation with somebody without somebody getting sensitive, because once you start, like, a lot of people, I guess, have an ego when it comes to a conversation, and when you start talking to them about something that they don't know, then and they heard someone else talk about it intelligently, but they couldn't defend that point the way the person that they heard talk about it intelligently. But like, they receive the information, they just don't know it well enough to combat like the opposing argument the way that they've heard it. They just shut down the opposing argument rather than just saying, well, I don't know for myself. You know what I mean? Like, it's like there's a huge problem with people saying, I don't know.
Oh, no, you can't claim that you don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, and you can call bullshit though, but then the only way bullshit can, you calling bullshit, or like, objection, as the courts would say, what's it called, actual legal term for bullshit, is you need to come with a reason why. You know what I mean? Like, lawyers, when they're in the courtroom, they literally go objection, and then they come with the reason why, and it's either overruled or sustained, right?
People don't need reasons why anymore.
Well, and that's the problem.
I know
That's the problem, right? That's the real problem. But the thing is, you have much more claim. Not much more claim. You'd sound much more verified. Your information would sound much more verified if you had it to rebuttal a person when they make a point and you don't agree with the point. If you had a piece of information that actually rebukes what they said, then that person may listen to you. And you may be actually able to have an actual conversation rather than trying to just prove, like, trying to be like, like wild bucks, just ramming. Sorry, I shouldn't clap on the mic. Ramming information to each other that don't necessarily link up in terms of a debate. You know what I mean?
Hold on. So what you're trying to say to me is that if we're having an argument and we have opposing views, that if I don't know the subject well enough, instead of just calling you a whole bunch of names and slurs, I should go out and do some sort of research?
Yes.
Bullshit.
Bust a flipping encyclopedia open. Do it like it's the 90s, you know what I mean?
Bro, there's no more Encyclopedia Britannica around. Oh my goodness, and all the information in that is outdated.
Well, you know what I mean, though. Wikipedia, whatever you want to call it. They took off the flipping prefix of the name. But what I'm saying is, arguments these days go like, let's say we're having a basketball argument, right? And we're talking about a team.
Go Raptors.
And let's use the Raptors. And let's say I'm like, but the Raptors can't play any defense, and I only know Kyle Lowry, right? Mm-hmm. And so I say, Kyle Lowry, all he does is jump in front of the ball and try to get fouled, but he doesn't actually play any real actual D. But then I don't know anybody else on the team. And then you mention 3 or 4 other defenders on the team, like OG Anunoby or something like that, right?
OG, Ibaka,
and Green
Siakam.
when he was there, like, you know what I mean? And then I don't know those players. So what do?
Oh, yeah. Those guys are shit.
I can say that. Or I can come up with another piece of information that doesn't relate to yours, that kind of supports my antithesis of the Raptors defense, right? Did I use antithesis right? I don't know. But it doesn't, but assuming I used it right, it doesn't support my argument for it. But at the same time, it's giving that same energy of what I initially said before, right? It's like saying something like, well, their defense doesn't translate into points. I didn't talk about what you talked about. I could have broken down why those guys are not defenders. My initial statement was the Raptors don't have defense. You see what I'm saying? I didn't stand by my initial statement. I tried to divert to another route of negativity rather than trying to disprove what you tried to disprove out of me. You see what I'm saying? And this is how conversations go. This is a lighter version of that. Some people are flagrant, where they're like, "Yo, Lloyd, I saw you. You're just trying to use your body to pick up women. You're not using your mind and trying to charm them the way that it should be."
What the fuck, dude?
And then you would be like, "Well, like the nice guys finished last anyways," or something. Like,
what the fuck, dude?
You wouldn't explain to me why, like, that's, like, you know, maybe that's not the case, but you wouldn't explain to me why, but that's more effective. You know what I mean? You just disregard my point and not try to address it. You just throw another shot, you know, rather than trying to defend. And that's what it is. It's people just throwing shots at each other. No one's playing any real defense, even though they're playing what's perceived as defense these days, which is just throwing pieces of information that don't correlate perfectly to someone's point, right?
Yeah, I can see what you're saying there. Basically, conversations aren't leading towards growth anymore.
Yeah.
People have their points of view, and if they're having a discussion, borderline argument, there's no coming to any sort of understanding. There's no more agree to disagree. That being said, what the fuck? Why you use that example?
Because it's true. You don't do that? No. You don't do that. Hold on. Let's be real.
Whoa.
No one's exempt from savageness, bro. Let's be real. You don't do that?
Wow. Wow.
We don't have any. He's just there ticking like tallies right now. I don't know. He's going to put names above it.
Wow.
Put a tally system out for savage points, but I think I got one.
Unless you have some sort of instant replay that I'm not aware of, I'm going to say no. I do not do that.
Okay.
Show me the instant replay.
I'll pull back.
Show me the instant replay.
There's no instant replay, obviously. Not yet. If anyone wants to do video for us, you're more than welcome, you know.
No, you are not. No, you are not.
Anyways, so there was a time that you were doing that, though. Come on, just be real.
Bruh, come on.
Come on, man.
Okay, now
it's a long time ago.
I'm gonna say
you got
this.
in really good shape.
I'm gonna say this. After
boxing, like what, 3 times a week?
Like 4. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this. After today, I am going to change my profile picture.
All right.
Because that is a photo of me topless.
Will there be any sweat involved?
What?
Is there any sweat in the picture?
No.
No?
What I change?
No drops?
What I change it to? Crap. But I did that whole photo shoot and all these good photos. Yeah. Now I'll change it to something else. I'll find something.
I don't have no photo shoots, my dude.
Maybe I'll just use like a black profile, just like all black.
Okay.
I don't even have to show my face.
Okay.
We'll see how that goes. But yeah, I'm gonna need to change that.
It's gonna be a black profile, but it's gonna have his silhouette in there.
Wow.
That's how you do, man. It's okay. Claim it. Claim it. Amber Rose has a slut rock for a reason. You know what I mean?
Yo, episode 1, my friend. Episode 1.
Claim it,
episode 1.
Claim it.
Episode 1. Episode 1.
I have my times too.
I'm just saying.
I have my times too.
I know you had one the other day.
Man. I'm not as comfortable as you, though. I have to get tips from you as being comfortable in my own skin like that. I still feel like a chubby guy. Like, still, till this day. I still watch for my belly when I'm passing people and stuff like that.
It passes.
Yeah, okay. See?
Not that I feel that way. I don't feel that way, though.
Teach me, sensei.
Yeah, this guy.
Oh man.
Yo.
You want to talk about that? You want to talk about the transformation stuff? We got some time. We got like 20 minutes, 20, give or take, 10 minutes.
Well, we don't really have a set time.
Yeah,
We can go any amount of time. Here's something that we didn't bring up.
What's up?
Could you imagine if there was a Chappelle show came back on Netflix?
No. They wouldn't allow it, man. Bro.
There's no standards on Netflix.
They would not allow that show to be on the air ever again. Bro.
I said, could you imagine?
No.
I said, could you imagine?
It was a different time, man. I can't. It was a different time. That time, like, and I'm going to get kind of serious even though it's a comedic topic. That was a time when gay people were in the closet, you know, and us being Jamaican, like, there's, like, was that song, Bun Them, Chichiman, you know, all those, and, like, that was an anthem. I couldn't even imagine what it would be like to be, like, in that community during that time.
I won't lie, it was a real popular song.
It was, and it was a bad time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and it was one of those times where, you know, I had a friend who I kind of suspected that he was gay. He never came up to me at that time, though. And he was really struggling. He had a girlfriend. Girlfriend was pretty. Didn't really, was like, I could tell he wasn't actually attracted to her. He just knew that she was hot. He recognized that. And she always, like, she had the biggest crush on him. That's why they were together. And he never really showed her that kind of affection. He was kind of like a bro, you know what I mean? You know, so he just liked chilling around the homies, you know? But I walked home from school with him, so I actually got to speak to him. And
I'm sorry, when you said that, I was thinking about Boondocks. The story of Gangstalicious.
Oh no, I haven't seen the episode.
You haven't seen that?
I'll go watch that.
Okay.
But yeah, so I don't want to get into his story too much, but just he just went through a lot. He went to basement jams with me, you know what I mean? Like with all of us. He had to be like, he was a great dancer, great dancehall like specialist. All the while, gay man, probably inside, dealing with like a culture that he claimed as his own, that's extremely till this day, extremely homophobic. You know what I mean? Like right now it's kind of settling down a bit, but extremely homophobic. And that was dancehall time when Dave Chapelle, like that was what, like when was Dave Chapelle? Like 2006?
Probably around that time.
2006, yeah, that was dancehall. That was a basement jam, like the apex of that time. Especially in our area.
But
and it was
no,
cool.
But there were some things that were very, very extreme. But man, there was a lot of classic things that could pass today as
sure.
well.
The lighter skits, yeah.
Like
the lighter skits. Like
one of my favorites, Black Bush.
Yeah.
Holy crap. I love Black Bush.
Yeah.
An underrated one is I love the Tupac Still Alive.
I can't remember that one.
It's basically he's in the club.
Oh,
okay.
Oh yeah.
He's in the club.
Yeah.
And it's like
and the
Pac,
lyrics,
the lyrics are like
yeah.
it's like Pac is like rapping to him like he's just all looking around like is this guy alive or is he here right now?
And he's like, I'm right here, Dave Chapelle. I see you. What? I said, what?
I'm still alive.
Yeah. That was a good one. Yeah. Yeah, the Making the Bad one was good. Like, those are the lighter ones, right? But the ones where he's trying to, like, you can tell when he's doing the light ones, and then you can tell when he's trying to slap with a skit. You know what I mean? Like, the first episode, that skit slapped, and that's the reason why he put it as the first episode. The black white supremacists.
Black white supremacists, yeah.
Like that was nuts. Couldn't get away with that. Not today. Nah, bro. I couldn't get away with that. There's a lot of stuff you couldn't get away with, man.
I mean, because, all right, in the case of that, who would that offend now?
People are touchy. Why do you think there's an all lives matter movement?
So what? It's gonna offend the supremacists.
You'd be surprised by who gets offended. That's the thing I've learned with Savage Sundays. You'd be really surprised with who gets offended by what. And back in those days, people got offended, but guess what? No one said anything. So those things were allowed to pass. But now, everything you put out, someone's offended by. Like that guy who, I can't remember his exact statements. But that director of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay.
He was fired.
For
tweets that he put out 7 or 6 years ago.
Oh, snap.
See what I'm saying? Like, it's... And I get it. People say bad things. Every single person on this planet has said a bad thing. A very controversial thing. That people that you love, people that like you, that see value in you, they would look at that thing and they may be disgusted by it. They may feel differently about you, if they learn that you said this thing at one point in your life, a moment in your life. You may not be that moment anymore, and then that's it. Automatically everything's altered, and that's crazy to me. Just one moment, right? And that's all it takes. And that's what literally the tweet was. It was just a moment in time. You put it up. You probably believed in it wholly, 100%. But you're not the same person as you were yesterday. I know that's something everyone says. But if you're not the same person, if you're like 0.5% different than you were yesterday, then imagine how many percent you are 6 years from that day. You see what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, it is possible to have a certain viewpoint until you have exposure. Until you have exposure to... So, let's say if I was completely opposed to homosexuality, and it's because I've never interacted with a member of the LGBTQ community before. And then I get to know them, and then all of a sudden, oh, well, they're just like me.
Yeah.
I mean, I do think you have to give people the chance to grow.
Yeah.
And you indirectly hit on something. These social justice warriors.
Oh, SJWs.
I mean, you just said that he said something 6 years ago. That means that people went back searching through 6 years of his tweets.
And he lost his job. Yeah.
And the same thing's been happening to a lot of athletes as well.
Yeah. And I'm not defending, mind you, I want to say this. I'm not defending anything that he said. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about the idea that we try to believe that we can change. Like, as people, ourselves, we believe that we can change. Like, I don't think everyone believes that this is it, that's me, this is, you know what I mean? I believe that we always want something for ourselves. You know what I mean? That requires us to become something different. If we believe that about ourselves, then how dare we try to condemn somebody else for wanting the exact same thing? So, are we going to judge ourselves on our worst statements? That's the only way it's valid for you to judge somebody else on their worst statements. You know what I mean? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just wanted to make that point.
No, but it's a good point because going back to what you said, people all of a sudden they start jumping on these people for these statements that they may have made 6, 10, 12 years ago. Yeah. And not realizing that life goes on, new experiences happen. I mean, as you get older, you're supposed to get wiser. You're supposed to become more knowledgeable, and hopefully you become more tolerant as you become more exposed to the world and exposed to different peoples. Hopefully.
I know I have.
Hopefully.
If people that I know now met me in 2004, I'm a stranger. They wouldn't know me. For real. And they're strangers to me too. I just have to keep growing.
And that's what it is. That's the goal. That's the ultimate goal. You tried to.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
not tried to. You changed.
Well, it's not the easiest thing. It's not the easiest thing in the world. I mean, hey, man, you can be like 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. But at the end of the day, as long as you get forward a step, that's kind of a win. But going back to that point, man, you just can't go back and then just look at something that somebody said X amount of time, and then these people are having to apologize for it and come out with statements for it for being young and being ignorant and
it's so
all
scary.
type of thing.
It's like Judgment Day. Like I grew up in Christianity, Pentecostal. And in Judgment Day, they say that they're gonna take your soul up, and they're gonna just go through. They're gonna do like a reel of your life. Basically, I'm just paraphrasing. And it's gonna be like all your good moments and all your bad moments, and they're gonna like basically bear judgment on your bad moments and see if you're fit for paradise. And people are doing this with the internet. That's real.
Oh,
people
shit.
are doing this with the internet, bro. They're digging into your past and judging you on it like they're God. You know? And it could be as extreme as taking away all your hard work.
Yeah.
Right there, putting you into a pit.
Yeah.
Having you to try to figure out new things. Like this guy, I don't know much about him. Mind you, this guy, could be worthy of the cancel. I don't know. Actually, I think I remember him. Actually, the actors of Guardians of the Galaxy advocating for him to get his job back because they know him currently, like the present him, and they said that the statements that he put out a long time ago don't reflect the person that they know. That's neither here or there. But what I'm saying is, what am I saying? Okay. Can we do a playback, please? Anyways.
We don't have that technology yet.
What I'm saying is, that is absolutely crazy to just work so hard to change from that moment. You know what I mean? Work hard. And changing is hard. It's hard as hell.
Change is hard. It's
the hardest thing that you do.
Change is hard.
As a human being, that's the hardest thing that you do, is change.
Yep.
Because comfort is really, really nice. You know what I mean? It's really nice. Like, we literally run to comfort. We work and then we flee from work to where? Comfort. Most of us. Change is hard. It's a struggle. Someone struggled to change from that dark moment, built themselves up to be something, and then that dark moment in turn brings them back down, drags them back down to what? Where they were? In your eyes? So that they should be right there? Like, it's crazy to me, man. That's always been crazy to me. Always been crazy. Like, mind you, if they're crimes, if they're crimes, it's different. You know what I mean? It's different because you affected somebody's life in a way that it's like they're dealing with that forever. So you got to deal with that. Whether it be rehabilitation, like you going to a facility or you going to prison or whatever it is, you got to deal with that. But if it's just statements,
that's another topic for another day.
Yeah, but if it's just statements, like just statements, and you're getting canceled for that, that is absolutely wild. It's wild.
And the other point to that is, how much time do you have on your hands to be digging into years and years of somebody's tweets? Like, what do you do for jobs?
Well, that's the thing. That's not how it works. So what they do is they screenshot when they see something crazy, and they hold that for a rainy day.
No.
That's mostly how it goes down. This happens in the light versions of it is like among our friends. You know what I mean? And I remember, I'm not going to say names. I don't say names. But during the NBA playoffs, when the Raptors were doing decent, but they weren't doing like as good as a championship team should in the playoffs, people, they finally made it to the championship, and they were pitted against Golden State. And a lot of people said, oh, the Raptors are going to get slapped up by Golden State.
Oh yeah, a lot of friends from the
people,
U.S.
Yeah,
a lot of friends from the U.S.
A lot of people took screenshots of that shit because they knew, deep down they knew that this is the Raptors' year. They're like, I knew, you knew. Well, you didn't. You kind of knew. You knew at one point.
I was freaking emotional, bro.
But at one point, we all knew, but all these people just couldn't see it because they weren't in the city. They weren't feeling the vibe. They weren't watching all the games like we were. It's our team. We know our team better than everybody else. Anyways, and then that shit came to bite them in the ass after. That's just a small, leisurely version of that. But there are some times where you post something and someone foresees how this can be used against you in the future, and they screenshot that shit and they'll circle the part that's problematic, and when the opportune time comes to kick you when you're down, bam, there it is.
Or when you're riding high.
That too.
But they'll do it just to bring you down?
Honestly, like, I'm not a hater, but if I try to, I'm an empath. Some people just call me really sensitive. If I went into a hater's mindset, and I would assume that they like the short pleasures, long-term pleasure is not their thing, because then they wouldn't be a hater. People who strive for real pleasure, real success, they're just grinders, and you don't have enough time to be a hater when you're a grinder, right? Not the app. The person that wakes up early in the morning does what they gotta do.
I didn't even catch that.
But their mindset's very short term, right? For pleasure, and they're just looking for that. You know what I mean? So I'm assuming, like, that's how they're trying to exact their revenge.
Do you think that after they release the statements or the screenshots or anything of that nature, that they feel better about themselves?
There's a high, man. That's what I'm trying to get to.
There's a high that comes to this?
Correct me if I'm wrong, haters. But I'm assuming that there must be some sort of high, some petty revenge kind of high. You know what I mean? Like, it must be that. Why would they set it up like that? Like, it's like they set it up and then they're just waiting for that.
I don't know,
There has to
man.
be a high. There has to be a high.
You
know what? I would say in almost all things there has to be a high. You know what I mean? I'm sure haters have that high. I love going to the gym because there's a high when I go to the gym. I do 7 chin-ups. I'm like, haha, hey, I'm here. I'm here now. Am I going to get to the 8th? I got to the 8th. Am I going to get to the, like, it's that thing. You know what I mean? Like this short-term high.
Bro, but it's like, if you have all that energy, because it is energy. It's not like you just take this and then you just store it in the bank and then you just release this negative energy like at the ideal time. No, you have to have a lot of just bad energy towards you.
Yeah.
Which is ironic,
but
because this is like
no,
they see this as some sort of righteous crusade.
Yes.
Are you making your own life better during this time? Or are you just holding on to these things and just waiting for these ideal times?
I've encountered many types of haters in my time, and I will say they have different philosophies on how their life is good or bad. And I would like one of the philosophies is that it just is what it is. Another philosophy is the system is not pitted for me to win, so I'm just gonna lay down. And other philosophies are, I could try. I'm better than everybody else. If I tried, I would prove to everybody that I am better than everybody else. That kind of, like, these really petty, mentalities that, like, it's. I know I sound crazy right now. I sound super insensitive, even though, I actually just said I was a sensitive person. But what I'm saying is, I wish the best for everybody, and I feel like those small mentalities are not ways to succeed. They're not ways to progress your life. They're not ways to progress people around you. So I speak very bluntly about them, you know, because I have compassion for that because I've been there. I've been in situations where, like, you know, I'm black. You know what I mean? I'm black. I know what it is to be a black man in a society that gives the privilege to white men and women, you know, and prioritize that privilege over me or their lives over me or whatever it is. I still gotta live.
True.
I still gotta achieve my dreams. Like, dreams don't stop. I'm not gonna just. I don't go to sleep at night and then it's just darkness and then I get up and go to work. You know what I mean? My imagination is still going. You know. So it's like you still have to have a life, and what kind of life are you gonna have? You're gonna have a life where these people, the systems decides your fate, or are you gonna go out and you're gonna actually try to do something and make something of your life? And you can fight these battles trying to make the system better for you, people look like you, and that. But at the same time, you don't just sit there and wait for those things to come into play and then live your life. You run out of time. You gotta live life now. You know what I mean?
True.
Is what it is. There were millionaires there were black millionaires during the oh my goodness, people are gonna kill me right now. I'm gonna kill on social media. after the slave era. Mind you, it's late. My mind is not Jim Crow. Jesus Christ. During the Jim Crow era, there were millionaires. They were millionaires after that. Immediately after the slave, you know what I mean? Like, we built our own communities. You know, had black doctors, had black owned businesses. You know, just like everyone was putting it on the community. People were making legitimate money at that time. It's because people decided to go along with their dreams rather than let their dreams be their imagination. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So it's and that's my mindset. And I feel like haters don't have that. You know, haters just accept shit. You know, rather than like rebel against shit. They want a rebellion, but they're not willing to be rebellious in their own lives.
Well, I see it kind of like they say, "Why not me?"
Yeah. And
then look at somebody else and start to hate and throw that energy towards them instead of saying, "Why not me?" and then doing something about it.
Yeah, exactly.
So
that's what I'm saying. You know, so like I feel like they get this high. It's like their way of getting a small win over you. You know, if you're the subject of their hate, right? Them holding these tweets or whatever it may be is their way of, one, getting your attention, because if you're the object of their hate, then they admire you, right? That's for one thing, because they have to be thinking that if they hate someone, you have to think about them a lot.
Yeah.
You know, I've hated a few people in my time. You know what I mean? Usually they're exes for a short period of time. You know, I hate them.
There's another conversation for another day.
Shout out to all my exes. I love y'all now. You know, the feelings are gone. Those hateful feelings are gone. But you think about them a lot. That's the reason why.
True.
Right? It's because it's like a borderline, or maybe even admittingly obsessive negativity towards somebody, right? But in order to have those strong feelings, you gotta admire at some point. You can't just go straight to hate. There's no such thing. There's always an admiration there.
Yeah.
Right? And they don't see a win legitimately. So they can only see a battle being won. And this is how they win those battles. And they take pride in these battles. You know?
Well, that shit is petty.
Yeah, for sure.
That's petty as hell.
Oh, super petty. That's Petty Bundy right there, man.
Petty Bundy. I don't think people are going to get that.
Too old. I'm dating myself now.
Oh, man. We need to wrap this up soon because I got to get in my own push-ups and whatnot.
Yeah. Oh, you working out late?
Yeah.
What's your regimen right now? Late night regimen, not like full workout regimen.
Oh, late night regimen?
Yeah.
I try to do more body weight stuff and do it quick. Otherwise, I'm not going to be
all
able.
I do. Well, I'm not quick, but I do bodyweight stuff too. Only.
I'm not going to be able to fall asleep otherwise.
True.
So.
True. Like you don't use masturbation for trying to go to sleep?
No.
No?
I have Jesus, I don't even know what it's called right now. I have this stand, and it's for doing all these types of leg ups and then
like
dips
that?
and
Okay.
It's a dip bar. Jesus Christ,
Okay.
I couldn't even think of it.
I said dips. He's like, yeah. Oh shit, there's the name.
Yeah, it's 10:30 at night. So I have my dip station, and then I have my pull up bar, and then and then if anything, I might try to do something anaerobic briefly. Okay, but I
explain what anaerobic means. Now, many people might you're just flossing right now, but the fitness terms.
Basically something with a lot of movement as opposed to just doing heavy weight. So I might grab a couple of light weights and throw out, I don't know, 50 punches at a time in between each set, just to work up a sweat.
Yeah. So natural movement that's resisted.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I do that quick, and then I'll get to bed, and then I'll try and do the same thing tomorrow morning before I go get ready for work.
Okay.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
But
that's good. I might try that.
But yeah, we should also probably talk some dance business.
Oh yeah, sure. Okay.
We've been talking here for over an hour now.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Hours fly by. Jeez.
Yeah. And this was a podcast about nothing, basically.
Yeah, we didn't have a real talking point. We just came up with one on the spot.
By the way, that was also one of the ideas that I had in my head. A podcast about nothing.
True. Oh God, like Seinfeld.
Like it was we'd be the Seinfeld of podcasts.
Oh man, relax. Relax. Yo. Oh my gosh, this guy. I like your vision though. But yeah, so what do you want to talk about? Talk about the midday fix? You want to talk about events happening in the city? You want to talk about your own personal development in dance?
Oh,
well, that's a long topic.
That's a long topic. No.
News,
we gotta get out of here.
Get into dance news.
Dance news. We are on. Let's see. We're headed towards long weekend.
Yep. Labor Day weekend coming up. That means I believe it's SBK that's happening in the city. BSK. Oh man, I'm about to get killed.
Yeah.
Are you going?
BSK? Or no shit. It might be BKS.
BKS. Oh
sorry,
my goodness.
There's a bachata
KYS.
congress. There's a bachata congress going on.
Yeah.
So that should be good. Run by Sophia and Carlos.
Yeah.
So that's probably the big ticket.
That's big, yeah.
That's the big ticket item all weekend.
Okay.
Am I going? Probably try and get out for a night.
Yeah, sure.
Not something where I do it. I wouldn't do it like back in the day.
Go all out.
Go all out.
Yeah.
Hotel for 4 nights.
I remember you used to use that the wristband.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
I'm not talking about the wristband for the car. I'm talking about like a sweatband.
Oh.
a tennis wristband.
Tennis wristband. Yeah, because those times are pretty much done for me, right? But try and make out a night.
No doubt.
Sport. What else is there? There's, I think Soul to Soul is still doing their Streetsville Village Square.
Yeah, we gotta make us one of them.
Yeah,
I haven't been to one the entire summer, honestly. To be honest, honest truth, yeah, it's crazy.
I really wanted to get one of those for part of the documentary series.
When did they happen again?
It should be wrapping up soon.
But what day is it? Is it Saturday?
Saturday from around 6 to 9.
Yeah, we definitely gotta go one of these Saturdays, man. Next few, we have 3 more Saturdays left.
Yeah, it's true.
It. Yeah.
I'm sure Toronto Salsa Fridays is always on.
Yeah, Toronto Salsa Fridays is still happening. Yeah.
Moss every Thursday.
Moss, yep, that's happening tomorrow.
Or I don't know. I'm Jamaican, so am I saying it right? Moss. Mass.
No. Some people say mass. Some people say moss. So I think they're both acceptable.
Okay, so mass is going on.
Yeah, mass with 1 S.
Sunday, Tanya's beach party. It's the last. It's the last one.
Is it the last one?
It's the last one of the summer.
I may make it okay. Yeah.
As well as the legendary Dover Court Sundays, as always, right?
Yeah. I shall give a shout out to Fernando and Salma, they have a social called Puente that's actually happening tonight. So I just saw that on my feed and I was like, what is this? Yeah,
right,
cool
the
happening.
Puente social. Yeah.
That's cool. Looks like a good crowd. Looks like they have fun. They get lit over there.
Okay, true.
Yeah. And just again, Midday Fix happening September 14th.
September 14th. We are coming back.
Tomorrow we're posting the official statement that we're coming back.
Well, we have to define what tomorrow is because when are we releasing this?
Oh, yeah, that's true. So then this would happen already. We are in the future now. Okay, relax, bro. We need the actual drops though. But,
I'm sorry, I have to actually make the noises because this is very low budget. Yeah. We don't have sound effects.
Yeah.
One day, maybe.
For sure, no.
If this goes well,
day, definitely.
Sound effects.
Honestly, every podcast does not do great numbers unless you're already a celebrity. Just gotta keep doing it. That's all. But yeah. Shout out to iFreestyle. They just had their student appreciation. This past
Saturday. Congrats, guys.
Oh yeah, Saturday. Sorry, Saturday.
This past Saturday. Yeah.
It was amazing. It was a good time.
That's awesome.
I got there for the last class. It was cool. Great environment. Everyone had a lot of fun.
Angus and Carol are bosses.
Yeah, even their other teachers are really well versed in what they do.
Oh, they're coming up.
Yeah, they're coming up. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Is that like Sergio and Sergio one of them? Or?
Sergio's I don't think he was instructing. But Maria.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think it's Andre.
Andre, yeah, he was teaching the bachata workshop with Carol.
Okay.
Yeah, forgive me for not knowing everybody, but I was only there for one class, so I don't know who taught all the other classes. Those are the ones that I saw. But yeah, it was a great vibe. Look forward to seeing what they have in store. They have an amazing performance, by the way, that they performed at Dover Court. They performed at Bachata Cielo. Super dope. Super dope.
What kind of performance?
Salsa.
It's not the Shines routine that they performed at the Midday Fix.
No.
Closed circuit one.
No, new one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, super dope.
Shines or
some shines, some partner work. You know,
cool.
People lineup change. Like it was dope. Trust me,
Angus
I really enjoyed it. Angus is in there, yeah.
Holy crap!
Yeah, man, it's fire performance. Definitely got me very inspired.
He took some time off, didn't he?
Oh, you mean to get better? Like to
I don't know.
To change it. Like I no one knows. Okay, this is the thing about Angus. No one knows how good this guy actually is. Some mini rants. You know what I mean? I admire the guy. I've been watching this guy dance for over 10 years. No one knows how good he acts. He reserves. He's like that anime character that, you come up and you're like, oh, he's like, high ranked. And then you look at him and you're like, you get glimpses of why he's high ranked, but he doesn't show you all of it. He just shows you glimpses. So you have to kind of piece all the pieces together, but it's all there. All of it's right there. You never get to experience it all, like just all out. Like his life is on the line.
I have an idea.
You think you do. You think you do, but
I only believe this because we've had the benefit of having him at the social
for sure,
like so many times, yeah. and I take all the videos.
Yeah.
so I'm seeing the pieces, and then when I'm fortunate enough to be taking the workshops, you can hear the terms that he uses. Yes. That just shows that. Oh, this is a man that is trained.
Yeah, there's a wealth of knowledge.
This is a man that is trained. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, if he ever decides to do a one man show, maybe we'll actually get to see it.
That's what I'm saying. Like, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't want to get killed. It's hard to know if he's getting better or if this is just him showing the skill that was always there. You know what I mean? There's people like that. Like they're getting. You know that there's an air around them, but you can't actually physically gauge their skill because they just are reserving it.
Oh snap! It sounds like
It's like the resolve is changed, but you don't get any confirmation.
This reminds me of the end of Rocky 3.
Yeah, exactly.
End of Rocky 3. when they had this, basically, if you haven't seen Rocky 3, Sylvester Stallone, Carl Weathers, after Rocky wins back the heavyweight title, him and Rocky and Apollo Creed decide that they're gonna have a little fight.
Yep.
On their own, no cameras, no nothing, just to see who is better. And Apollo goes and he says this quote. He says, I taught you everything you know, but I didn't teach you everything that I know.
Yep.
You might fight great, but I'm a great fighter.
Woo! Let's leave on that note. That's fire.
Let's leave on that note. Let's see. Do we need to shout out anybody?
No, we're good. I think so.
Good?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this was Savage Sundays. I will say thank you to our sponsors, Nexus Rehab, for hooking us up during the Social Showdown competition over at our anniversary.
Sorry, my bad. You shook me there for a second. I was like, what? This is the first podcast. We have sponsors for the podcast. But no, that's sponsored for the Midday Fix. So
yeah, so if you're looking for, if you're a dancer and you're looking for physiotherapy or an RMT that understands and knows how to deal with dancer pain, go see Karen No.
Big ups to Karen No.
Okay. And with that being said,
can I say a little something?
Absolutely.
All right. So this is Savage Sundays, and just want to give you all a reminder that we are good people, but we are not afraid to think for ourselves, and we're not afraid to be wrong. And that is the purpose of this podcast.
Andrew's getting there. Sorry, I said that wrong. Andrew's the good one.
I'm not a good person, apparently.
Andrew's the good one. I'm working on it.
All right, I'll leave that.
All right, signing off.